And the grand total that I spent on all the gear for an Ironman is... I saved a total of 446 euros. And the way I did this was by... In today's video, I'll review all essential Ironman gear, how much it all cost, and I'll share tips on how to save on your expenses. For those new to this channel, I started training a few months ago with no experience in swimming, running or cycling. Check out my previous video for my 10 key lessons on becoming an Ironman with no experience. I'll provide the link in the description below. And as I started with no experience, I also started with no gear. I'll break down the cost per sport discipline for the race event, and I'll share tips on how to save on your expenses. This video is particularly useful for those with smaller budgets, as I consider myself to be on the lower end of the cost range for participating in an Ironman. Number 1. Cost for the race event. First up, the entry fee into the Ironman race. This is actually a large sum of the total cost for me. One way to save money on the entry event is to actually book ahead of time. In May 2024, I will do the half Ironman in Aix-en-Provence in France, which costs 422 euros including administration fee. In September 2024, I'll participate in the full Ironman in Italy, which costs 682 euros including administration fee. One other cost for the race, depending on the country that you're racing in, is the Triathlon Federation fee. This can be either an annual triathlon license issued by the National Triathlon Federation or a one-day license. As I'm not a regular triathlete, I will buy a one-day competition license, which costs 40 euros. The addition of a half Ironman is optional in the program. You could also add an official Olympic distance in your program, which have their own additional participation fees. For those reasons, I will only consider the full Ironman in Italy for the total cost. Therefore, the total cost for the race section, including the full Ironman in Italy and the one-day license fee, is 722 euros. That is excluding transportation and accommodation, as you might be able to do an Ironman in your area. Number 2. Swim cost. For the swim, you only really need a pair of swimming goggles and, depending on the temperature, a triathlon wetsuit, assuming you already own a swimsuit. Right from the start, you'll need a pair of swimming goggles. And there's a large variety of swimming goggles out there. This one I got from Irina that I bought for 23 euros at Decathlon. If you fancy customized swimming goggles, check out the brand The Magic 5, which tailor the fit to your face through a scan with your phone. They do come at a price of 85 euros. After maybe 2/3 of your program, you may want to start practicing open water swimming. There are special triathlon wetsuits with more flexibility in the shoulder area and more flow to keep you parallel in the water. These special triathlon wetsuits tend to be really expensive. If you want to save on budget here, consider buying them second-hand. I bought an Orca Athlex Float wetsuit for 188 euros. You could also opt for renting a wetsuit, and the prices will depend on the location that you participate in the Ironman. Just to put it in perspective, prices that I've seen in Berlin are 40 euros for one-day rental on a weekday and 75 euros for one-day rental on weekends. The total cost for the swim for me is 211 euros. Number 3. Bike cost. The most expensive category in the triathlon is by far the bike. You can go all out with a full carbon time trial bike at 10,000 euros or a simple 400 euro budget second-hand road bike. This all depends on your budget and your ambition. But one thing to consider is the race course. As I'm started with a hilly course half Ironman, a road bike seemed like a logical choice for me. Before I get into my bicycle, let's talk about clothing. One mandatory item in the Ironman triathlon is a bike helmet. Similar to the bike, you can go all out with a full aero helmet. My helmet is probably at the lower end of the budget for helmets. I bought a Gyro Achilles. The new price for these would be around 80 euros, but I was able to buy one second-hand for 45 euros. My cycle shoes are from the brand Van Rysel, and they come with full carbon underplate. At Decathlon, the new price would be around 150 euros, but I was able to buy them second-hand for 72 euros. I opted for the full carbon underplate, as it is the most efficient in transferring your energy from your legs into your bicycle. My glasses are also from the brand Van Rysel. At Decathlon, the new price for these glasses would be around 40 euros, but second-hand I was also able to buy them for 25 euros. They're a really great pair of glasses that come with a really nice case and another pair of lenses. With the flexible legs of these glasses, I also use them for running. You can opt for a one-piece tri-suit or a two-piece suit with a bike short and a jersey. My shorts are from the brand Suit Sports, which is a full triathlon brand. These shorts are normally 120 euros, but at Black Friday I was able to get them for 70 euros. My bicycle jersey is from the brand Van Rysel and it costs 60 euros. I also have a pair of socks from Van Rysel that cost 10 euros that I'll also use through the run. So now, the big cost factor, the bicycle. I looked around quite a long time to find the proper bike, and I finally decided to buy a completely new road bike. The consideration when looking for a bicycle is to first have a rough idea what you're looking for in the bike. Do you want a road bike or a time trial bike? Do you want rim brakes or disc brakes? What brand gear set and how many gears do you want? In my case, I wanted a road bike with disc brakes and a Shimano 105 gear set under 10 kilos. I bought a Canyon Enduro 7 for 1660 euros. One thing you need to realize when you're buying a new bike is that you also need to buy the bottle cage as well as the pedals for your shoes onto the bike. My pedals are from the brand Look, the Kyo 2 Max, at the price of 58 euros. My two Canyon bottles and bottle cages costed around 27 euros. For my full Ironman in Italy, I will be adding the aero bars to my road bike. They can cost around 30 to 40 euros. The final element to consider in a bike section is a bike repair kit. You definitely want to bring a bike repair kit, as you don't want to have to cancel your event that you trained so long for because of a flat tire. My repair kit consists of this small bag that costed 18 euros, a pair of tire lifters that cost 5 euros, a spare inner tube that costs 10 euros, and a CO2 pump that costs 15 euros at Decathlon. The total cost for all the elements of the bike section is 2079 euros. Number 4. Run cost. For the run, you only really need a pair of shoes, assuming that you already own a gym outfit. I'm simply using a pair of Nike running shoes that costed me 60 euros. One thing to consider is that shoes have a mileage limit, after which you should replace them. If you're training for 1 year, you may have to swap to new shoes after half a year of training. Whenever you do that, that's up to you. But just make sure you don't do it right in front of the race or at the race itself. You really want to break in the new shoes. As I already had shoes, the total cost of running for me 60 euros. But for a good budget, I will simply add 100 euros for the running part. Number 5. Other costs. And finally, there's other costs. A really important item to buy, but ones that can be really expensive, are sport watches. I've bought a Garmin Forerunner 255. I bought it for 250 euros at a discount. I absolutely love this watch. I use it all the time for my heart rate training, which I covered in a previous video. Another cost element is nutrition. You can take the risk and use the Ironman race nutrition without trying, but I've decided to order the race nutrition and test it before the race. As per 2024, the official race nutrition is Martin Gel 100. I've only ordered a small quantity for testing. The smallest box they have is a set of 12 that costs 38 euros. Another nutrition element to consider is liquids. I found Decathlon's ISO Plus drinking powder to be both nutritious and affordable. A large bag of 52 servings comes at 28 euros. Cost of nutrition may vary a lot, and the range depends on what and how many you want to try. The final element to purchase is a race band for your race number. This is mandatory on the bike and the run during an Ironman race. You can use safety pins or a race band. A race band at Decathlon is 7 euros, and the total cost for all the other elements are 323 euros. The total cost. And the grand total that I spent on all the gear for an Ironman is 3,435 euros. Of which 722 euros on the Ironman registration, 211 euros on the swim gear, 2,079 euros on the bike gear, 100 euros on the run gear, and 323 euros on all the other stuff. And this is without accommodation and transportation. And this is just an indication of how much it all costs to become an Ironman, when probably at the lower end of the cost range. I saved a total of 446 euros, and the way I did this was by buying gear at second hand or at large discounts. Other than the obvious checking for discounts at your preferred brand, here are 2 tips on how to save money on your budget. First, the second-hand digital platform called Vinted. I've bought my bike helmet, my bike glasses and my bike shoes there. It saved me up to 120 euros. Second, Reddit. I've had a few occasions, for instance with my bicycle, where I used referral codes that I found in chats on Reddit. This saved me up to 150 euro. And there we have it, how much it all costs to become an Ironman. And although these costs are really high, don't forget that most of the items you buy you can actually resell after the race event. And I'm curious to know, what is your budget? And what are ways that you have saved money on your budget? Let me know in the comments below. I'll see you in the next video.